Welcome to Voice Notes from Bex and Friends. Short, raw, unfiltered notes that will hopefully leave you nodding along thinking, oh my goodness, I needed to hear this today. Sometimes they're from me, sometimes from people I admire, and sometimes from you, the listener. You'll get a voice note whenever inspiration strikes, so make sure you subscribe to never miss a message. Hello and welcome to another voice note from Bex and Friends. And today I want to talk all about morning routines, simply because I was scrolling on Instagram this morning and I saw this video of this guy who apparently had the optimal morning routine, right? And I've seen 1,000,001 of these before, so I kind of knew what to expect. But for some reason this morning, it just really annoyed me because I'm lying in bed, definitely not doing any kind of optimal morning routine. And I was like, this isn't wellness. Like, you can pretend that this is wellness, but this is just hustle culture. Like, this is just hustle culture pretending to be wellness. And there were thousands of comments and people were like, oh my goodness, yeah, I also, like, I'll explain the morning routine and then you'll kind of get what I'm saying. So he woke up at 4:30 in the morning, which is fine as long as you're going to bed at 8 o'clock at night, right? Because wellness is all about getting enough sleep. So he woke up at 4:30 in the morning. He put on one of those like weighted vest thingies and went for like an hour and a half run, I think it was. It was all time stamped. So he got back at like 6 o'clock. So yeah, it must have been just on an hour and a half by the time he kind of got ready and left. So this hour and a half run, then he came back and made this like full of different types of protein powder and like vitamin powder, obviously like an advert for all these companies, like smoothie. And then he went to the gym, right? So he's already done an hour and a half run. He went to the gym. And then the other things he did was like he read, it was like, you know, like philosophy books, like Aristotle or whatever. He was like, I read for an hour to expand my mind. But no one's reading these books, like unless you're studying at a university. That's not a book you just pick up and read, is it really? And then he was journaling. Then he went to this place to do like an ice plunge. And by this point, it's something like 10 o'clock in the morning, like 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, who has the time for all of this? Like, that's a full-time job. And to be fair, he is a wellness influencer. So I guess that is his full-time job. But that's not an optimal morning routine for any normal person. Like, unless you are also in that industry and your whole job is to film yourself doing that kind of stuff. And I just thought it sets such unrealistic expectations for all of us, because I sat there thinking, oh, like, even though I know this stuff is for show, I know it's for Instagram, it started to make me feel a little bit bad about myself. So I thought what I would do is come on and voice note you guys about a couple of the things that I have in my morning routine that make me feel good, and then ask you guys to voice note me the things that you like doing in the morning so that I can put together an episode of everyone's kind of recommendations, what they do, what makes them feel good, to bring it back to some kind of normality. So there are 3 things that I try and always do every morning, as long as I don't have a very, very grotty Evelyn that's woken up at 5, which is happening more often than not at the moment. But if I can get up and do a couple of things for me, then the first one that I do, and actually I can do this even when Evelyn is grotty, is right next to my bed, I have one of those tiny little reporter's notebooks that has some really, really, really nice words about myself, normally that I've written when I'm in a much better mood. Positive affirmations, intentions, just really positive things about me written in the present. So, for example, one of the ones here today is, my body is strong and beautiful. And actually I needed that because when I watched that video of this like godlike physique doing his hour and a half run in the morning, I was like, oh, I'm a big floppy mess. And then I was like, no, my body is strong and beautiful. My body is strong and beautiful. So I always write these affirmations. Whenever they need updating, I'll update them, but I have them by the side of my bed, 3 to 5 of them that I repeat 3 to 5 times every single morning before I pick up my phone. Like before I do anything else, that is the first thing I do, because I think that particularly if you wake up with morning anxiety or you go straight to scrolling on social media, the first things that kind of flood into our brains are negative. So I like to kind of counteract that and get in there first and be like, no, I am amazing. I am strong. I am beautiful. I'm all these positive things. Now give me Instagram's worst, like once I've actually done that. The second thing that I always do, and it's very boring, and I'm sorry that it's not, go for an hour and a half run. I always drink a glass of water before I drink coffee. And actually, I learned this really cool thing recently, that when we wake up, our body is like flooded with cortisol, like energy and all of that kind of stuff. And so if we have a coffee like first thing when we wake up, it doesn't actually do much. But if we wait a couple of hours and then have a coffee, it will fight the tiredness before we get that late morning tiredness, if that makes sense. So I read that in a book, which I can't remember, but I'll put it in the show notes when I do remember. And it has literally been such a game changer. So I'll down a glass of water and then I wait maybe an hour and a half before I have my first coffee. And it has done so much for my energy levels. And then I don't necessarily need like 5 coffees in a day because I'm awful for caffeine. I've always been a caffeine addict and I'm trying to not be because it actually makes me feel worse. So having a big glass of water, hydrating my body, and then waiting a little bit for my first coffee has been an absolute game changer. Now, obviously, if I've been up all night with Evelyn, that goes out the window because my body isn't being flooded with all the energy and cortisol because it hasn't had any sleep. So if you struggle to sleep, if you have a child or insomnia, ignore me. But do have that glass of water first because hydration is key. And then the third one is something that I started doing kind of more recently, which I absolutely love. And it is literally flicking between hot and cold in the shower. So everyone knows now that like cold water therapy is a big thing. Like it can help with loads of different stuff. Like I don't want to make science claims and then not be able to back them up when I'm literally just voice noting. But I will put some links in the show notes for anything that I talk about. So cold water therapy has become really popular. And something that I learned recently is if you put on the cold, obviously that puts your body into some kind of like stress state, right? Because it's cold, it's like, you're freezing me. But then if you go back to warm, it tells your body you are safe. So you can do this like a couple of times in a shower. Don't go too extreme either way. Very dangerous. Please don't do that. But if you just go a little bit colder, your body goes, oh, shock. You get a little bit of that cold water therapy. And then you go back to a little bit warmer and it goes, I'm safe. And this is supposed to be really, really good for your parasympathetic nervous system, feeling sort of just like calmer and more grounded. And yeah, it's just been a really nice way to start my day. And I don't need any extra time because I'm just doing it in my normal shower. So that is it. I don't do protein powder smoothies. I don't go running for an hour and a half. I can't run anyway. So, I take my dogs out. I try and get sunshine as early as I possibly can. But these 3 things I thought were just the most realistic, the easiest to add into your day because you don't need to do anything different. Like you don't need to do anything extra. You don't need any extra time. It's just literally some affirmations by your bed for when you wake up, a glass of water by your bed when you wake up, and then alternating between hot and cold in the shower. Simple, nice and easy. So I would love to hear yours. And as always, I'll let you know how to voice note me back in the show notes. So if you click on this episode, click on the description, there's a link where you can send me a voice note from your phone, from a computer, wherever you are. And just let me know 1, 2, 3 things that you like doing in the morning that make you feel good, even if you don't do them every day, it doesn't matter. But just some realistic things that we can all add into our morning routines without feeling like we need weighted vests and 2-hour gym sessions and some Aristotle to start our days. I hope you have a wonderful day, whatever you're up to today, and I'll see you again very soon. Take care. Thanks for listening to today's voice note. I'd love for you to send me one back. The link on how to voice note me is in the show notes. Take care.